I had one lady yell at me on YouTube one time for saying this, but like, sometimes it's not that deep.
We're recording from inside a real haunted location. The ghost gear set, the veil thin. Expect raw energy, real conversation, and maybe a few voices that don't belong to the living. This isn't just a podcast, it's a summoning. Welcome to Ghostcraft Divination, a seance in your ears. I'm Ashley, your coven mistress, and I'm joined by my sisters of the craft. Did I say something wrong?
A seance in your ears?
Yeah, because it's a podcast. It's like a seance in your ears.
I get it. It was
You're walking around. You can't have a seance all the time, but if you listen to Ghostcraft,
it's in your ears. Okay, I get it now.
It's in your ears.
You hate
3
it?
hours later. No, now I get it.
Should I talk in my like customer service voice? Should we all talk in our customer service voices for this?
No.
No.
Was I talking in customer service voice?
I mean, you just go a little bit deeper.
Oh, now she's got her phone sex voice.
Yeah, because customer service is like hi.
Customer service are you doing, Mandy? Because that voice, you got Phillips all worked up over there. You probably would put
Okay, yeah, because my customer service voice is like, welcome to the Good Burger, home of the Good Burger. Can I take your order?
your order.
Oh, man. So good.
Anyways.
Mandy's like, my name's Trixie.
Who are you guys? Why are you here?
Who are we? Who are you?
I'm Trixie, and I'm a phone sex operator.
I'm Trixie.
Here we go. Here we go again.
All right, I'm Christy. I am a co-owner of All Saints Lunatic Asylum in Apple Valley, and I am a professor of anthropology, and I'm also an archaeologist. And now I'm a ghost hunter.
Yes, with me.
Yep, with Ghostcraft Coven.
And with us, we have a very special guest, Mandy the Medium.
Woo! Otherwise known as Trixie.
Otherwise known as Trixie.
Call the number listed below.
Just ask for Trixie.
New ego added to the list here. Yes, I am Mandy the Medium. I'm a psychic medium. I'm also the other half of Ghost Club Paranormal. We're over on YouTube and all socials. I am a former anthropologist that's never practiced and apparently never will, but that's okay.
Never say never.
Life took you to where you needed to be.
Exactly. It really did.
And anthropology helps with everything.
It does.
There is really no job that doesn't include anthropology.
And look, Christy's a professor, and she's kind of ending up right where you ended up,
We're
too.
sitting here together.
Does it really matter?
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I was filming my documentary here for my visual anthropology class as part of my senior
Cool.
thesis and stuff. And then life said, no more ghost hunt. And I said, okay,
I mean,
great.
what is anthropology?
I still ask her all the time, like, I don't really understand what that is.
Study of culture.
And anything that has to do with humans. Anything.
Anything. I mean, there's language, biology.
Why not ghosts?
Paleontology. Anything that you can think of. I'm going to be teaching a paraanthropology class.
There's only a couple schools in the world that offer para anthropology.
Yeah, Victor Valley is going to be one of them.
I tried to get Long Beach State to do it, but they wouldn't. So call out. Call out.
We're here to ask some questions about your experience. Let's start from the beginning. Like, when?
On March 3rd, 1992, I came out of my mother's womb.
1992.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh.
you guys are babies.
Aw.
I came out of my mother's womb at 11:23 in the morning. I came out very, very fast. The doctor literally ran through the doors and caught me on the way out.
Oh, you just shot
I
out.
don't know how true this story is. That's what my mom said.
You're like ready to go.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm out of here.
Not me. I ripped my mother's insides out on my way out. She lost so much blood. I almost killed her.
Oh my God. You were like, no.
That checks out.
All I know is back when I was born, my mom, they used to put him under or whatever. And she said, whatever you do, I'll need to be awake by 3 o'clock because she wanted to watch Dark Shadows. And do you know what happened on the very day that I was born? They aired for the first time Barnabas Collins.
I don't know what that
The
is.
day I was born, Dark Shadows. Now I'm old.
I was the kid that was like questioning everything growing up. Why am I here, Mom?
Which explains a lot now.
And her being like, why are you asking me these questions at 5?
What's wrong with you?
No, seriously, from a very early age, I knew I was already so self-aware that like I wasn't connected to this earth. And I was like, I don't know why I'm here again. And like asking these questions, but I wasn't even really understanding what I was asking myself, if that makes sense. Like, I don't know why I'm asking these questions, but like also why the am I here? And it's weird because for somebody who came out real quick of the womb, I was like, I don't want to be here at all. I hate it here. So it's just been, it's been a lifelong struggle. I would say I'm 100% on the spectrum, right? So like I have all these other things happening with my body and my brain. And then add in the fact that like, I could not understand what I was doing here, why I was here. And then I was like, plagued with those questions growing up. And I just don't think any child should be in that state of mind, just like so confused and concerned and like, what's my purpose and all this stuff.
Aww.
And like, I'm 5, you know? So it was a lot. And then add in the fact that like also having very, very spiritual paranormal experiences from as early as I can remember.
You can't remember not.
Exactly. I don't know a life without spirit.
That's how I am.
I was eating ants. I don't know.
You were slurping ants off the rails.
Slurping ants off handrails. I didn't have any.
It's okay. I used to try to eat lizards when I was a kid. So
It's nice, like coming into this, you know, community, this industry, is I was the same way. I don't remember anything without that, and just always being alone in that and being like something's wrong. But now, you know, being a part of this, you find other people that's like, okay, something's not obviously wrong.
yes.
Like there might be something to this. There might have been stuff really there.
And I think that was kind of the beauty. Like with my family, I was raised in a family that was very open to that
Amazing.
and had their own experiences. So it wasn't like I never had to hide it from my family or anything like that. It was a very open thing.
So what would they say?
My childhood house which my parents still live in, was haunted. Still is haunted. So growing up, there was what I was dealing with as a kid and being able to see people and hear people and be touched by people and all this stuff. But then the house was haunted. So my whole family was having paranormal experiences. There was the tall shadow man in the back, and he never left my parents' bedroom. He would never cross the threshold into the hallway. He always, it's like a long hallway and an arch into my parents' bedroom, and it's open. There's no like door. Well, there is a door, but it was always open. He would always stand there, and my dad would see. I say it. We'll say it because I still don't to this day know. I would see it, and my dad would see it, and my brother would see it. My mom's the only one. She kind of like she tunes. My mom is very sensitive. Mm-hmm. I would even go as far to say my mom is 100% a psychic. She's just like, not for me, not my world. Bother me, don't do anything. So she shut that shit down.
There's something so powerful in saying that, 100%. And so remember that at home. Like you have the power to be like, no, I'm shutting this off.
Exactly. You totally can. You just have to mean it.
Yes.
You can't be like, I don't want this to happen, but like deep down you do want it to happen, you know? So, because then it won't work.
Exactly.
But yeah, so she shut that shit down. She was like, not for me. So she never really had experiences the same way that like the rest of me and my brother, my dad did. Me and my brother would hear a woman and a man arguing in the hallway, and we would open up the door at the same exact time. Like our rooms were separated by a bathroom. We would open up and peek out at the same time, and it would just be pitch black in the house. My parents are fast asleep, but we would hear a woman and a man arguing almost every night, just like clockwork, because he would stay up late playing video games. I would stay up late, and we would hear it over our headphones.
Wow.
It was just really crazy.
Now I have to know what video game. Sorry, side note. What were you playing?
Grand Theft Auto.
Oh my gosh.
I was stealing cars when I was really young.
Look how she turned out.
Yeah.
No, I'm psycho.
Stealing cars and punching hookers.
Yeah, that game was.
It was either like Grand Theft Auto or like Guitar Hero.
Oh, we had Beatles Guitar Hero.
That was a crazy time in video games.
It was such a good time. It was such a good time, and we would just stay up so late playing. But we would hear these things. My brother's room specifically, there was always some weird vibe going on in his room. The TV would turn on and off by itself. We would see things in his room, just shadows, things like that. And then the spirit in the backyard, who I used to call Robert from time to time, but there was a man in the backyard who I would see always at nighttime. I would see him at night, not during the day, just night. And I would go out and like hang out at the pool. You know, just like I would lay in the pool and just like stargaze and stuff when I was younger. Yeah. You know, just it. I remember the first time I saw him, he was hiding behind the tomato bushes. Just a man standing there. To this day, I don't know if it was like with my third eye or if it was like physically standing there. That was a hard thing.
That's what I was thinking about talking to you is asking you, because that's something I've learned, is especially with filming. Like, you can see something so clear as day, but nobody else can see it. And I think the rarest things in the paranormal field are the things that everybody can see.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's your third eye sight, and that's something that people who are special, I don't know, open to it, have that sense, are experiencing. And it sounds like your house, you have a family of people that are probably just sensitive. And maybe, do you think that the spirits were called to you guys because you're able to see, or do you feel like it's the house?
I think it's a little bit of both. And that's something that me and my dad, we spent so long trying to figure this out, because there's this weird thing, like with my house specifically, it is very hard for me to tap into my own house. Mm-hmm. It's one of those things, how like psychics, you can't read for yourself, right? You're not allowed to, because it affects your free will. There's some weird blockage thing with my house. Like, I know who's there and who's stepped forward, but I cannot get to the root of why. And I genuinely, I'm not supposed to know. And I've just accepted it. And that's fine, because I needed that separation with my home life growing up. But I would say it's a little bit of both. I think that there was a lot going on too, like a lot going on with my family. It's a bunch of sensitives. And then you have a already haunted house and land. It was just like a smorgasbord for activity to happen. And we've experienced everything at this house. And, just the standard good old hauntings, doors closing or knocking, voices being heard by everybody, your name being called, nobody's called it, seeing things, and just things literally flying off of shelves. We all witnessed that happen.
That's something that's not happening because there's a psychic there. That's that very rare thing that we all want to catch, is the spirits that can manipulate the physical realm. And that's so rare, I feel. So that's very special. You got to experience that growing up.
Yeah, it made for an interesting life.
Yes.
With everything else going on, because obviously, just like so many people, there was a lot happening within my family, a lot of trauma and things going on all ends that just kind of I don't know. I feel like when things happen, that's when activity is the most heightened, right? Because energies are high, emotions are high.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I would say now the activity at my parents' house has calmed down immensely. Back then, it was all the time.
So what about your room?
Well, that was kind of where everything started. Growing up, when I first started this journey, I would say that I can remember it wasn't seeing anybody, it was hearing things, which is terrifying. So I would hear voices talking to me. Yeah, so clearly. Like, the lights would go off in the room and I'm getting ready to go in bed, and there's somebody right next to me just like, hey, what are you doing? Talking at me, and I'm just like, and I can't see anything. I didn't develop it was a little bit before I developed my third eye.
Okay.
And I'm not too sure why it went in that order, but it was just hearing things, and then I was being touched. So it was very, very scary.
So you did hearing first?
Hearing, getting touched, and then I started seeing people.
Okay.
So kind of went in that order, I would say. Yeah, so that was a nightmare. And I think that's why to this day I'm still afraid of the dark and sleeping in the dark and things like that, because that was just so traumatizing for me as a kid.
So you would rather be able to see what's talking to you? Mm-hmm. Even if it's scary looking?
Yeah.
You just want to know?
Yeah, because then when I started seeing things,
that's a whole nother story, though.
It was just the standard things that kids see, crazy things with red eyes and horns and all this stuff. And I'm just like, what is that? And why are you in my closet? Why are you under my bed? Why are you down the hallway? Who's the man standing in the corner of my room that watches me? But then it shifted. It shifted to something more positive. I had my first real experience with what I would say a spirit, which was my great grandmother, which I share I won't share it here, but it's going to be on a future Haunted Discoveries. They made a TV show called Family Spirits, and I will be sharing my story about everything on season 2 of that. So
congratulations, that's awesome.
Yeah, season 1 is currently airing. So on season 2, I will be on there kind of going over that in detail about that first experience.
fascinating.
It is. It is.
No, I'm getting cold. Are you guys getting cold?
It is getting. It's getting cold in
There's
here.
a point where my nose is starting to. No, I feel like it's really gotten really cold in here.
It's very cold in here.
Okay, it's not just me. He's not even wearing sleeves.
Because you're saying, like, you know, like what kids see, the red eyes and the shadow thing, and not thinking that that's necessarily spirits. What do you think that energy is?
I genuinely believe that as kids, because there's been no like societal influence or anything like that, environmental influence, kids can see a whole spectrum. Not everybody, but most. So what I believe I was seeing, I do genuinely believe I was connecting with a lower level. And I know that based off of the work that I've ended up doing in my life.
And how it makes you feel as a kid.
Exactly. Yes, there's so many ways to look at it, you know, your imagination and all of this stuff. But I know for a fact I was connecting with lower level energies.
Well, I'm opposite of you. My parents are very skeptical. They don't believe in anything. And I have experiences just like you, but I was told you're imagining it. And so, you know, you grow up feeling like you're kind of crazy. But
Which is unfortunate.
yeah, but here I am. And my parents tune in every week and they like it. They don't believe it.
That's okay.
That's okay.
But they're still supporting
They're
you.
supportive. They're like, so it's interesting that you are talking about similar experiences to me. And I always wondered, like, what was that shadow in my room? Or the red eyes? Or, you know, is that something that we are hallucinating with? But it didn't make me feel that way.
Yeah, and it's like it's one of those things where I can't speak for everybody. But in my personal experience and in my life, I know that was lower level.
It felt scary.
Yeah, I know that was kind of what I was exposed to first, because it's easier to be exposed to the lower than the higher, right?
When you're a kid and you don't know.
Exactly. You don't know how to like
Protect yourself.
work with your energy.
Especially when you're alone. You look to your parents for protection and not in yourself. So I could see why you would be more vulnerable when you're sleeping in your room at night.
Exactly. So it's definitely a thing. As I got older, that kind of shifted more to, it was just kind of a weird blend of like negative and positive. And by negative and positive, I mean like lower and higher levels of what I was seeing and what was coming forward.
How it made you feel.
Yeah, exactly. And it wasn't until then things shifted. I started unintentionally going into trance. And that was a very scary. This is a long story. I'm going to like make it shorter, but I started having what I believe at the time were trance episodes with spirit. So I would completely black out.
Oh, wow. How old were you?
This started when I was in high school. Early high school. So I would say like 15.
Okay.
Blackout moments where I would be making dinner and then all of a sudden 10 minutes has gone by and I'm coming to. The pasta is completely like overflowed with water and I wasn't there.
Oh, wow.
And it was the weirdest sensation coming back because it was almost like I was like, like catching my breath coming back. And I was like, so all of a sudden, like that started happening and it was terrifying. Yeah. And I started having massive anxiety because of that. Right. And like to the point where I was, you okay?
Yes.
You need some water? Maybe I feel like you're processing some energy here.
You're processing some?
She's processing some energy here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want some water?
Maybe some. I'm sorry, guys.
No, don't be sorry.
So it's interesting that you say that she's processing because this is the first time she's kind of, you know, I said that thing, well, maybe you're just a medium and you have those kind of abilities.
First time I've been cold and you guys aren't.
Look at you.
Cold. I'm freezing. I am freezing.
Opening up to the idea that maybe she's picking up on other things, you know? Just saying.
I'm freaking freezing.
That's crazy.
My nose is like running because it's so cold.
And we heard this room was going to be very hot.
Yeah, that's what we were told.
All right. So tell us, what's next?
The trance thing came full circle. At the time, I did not know that was what was happening. And I am saying this is my personal experience. If you are having blackout episodes, please go see a doctor. Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm not trying to say that's what you're experiencing is trance. But for me, at the time, I did go see a doctor and there was nothing there. And they just said it was severe anxiety. Immediately put me on medication, things like that.
Yeah, that's what they usually do.
Fast forward Okay, fast forward. And I've always been into ghost hunting. My dad he's into ghost hunting as well. That was something that we bonded
That's
on.
so cool.
That was something that we bonded on. I grew up watching all the shows with everybody and, Paranormal State and all of that stuff.
Did your dad like you on Ghostcraft Coven?
Yes. I mean, we watched it. Of course, you guys got a view from the Maisie household.
Yeah.
Aww.
It's like, I like them witches. They're all right.
Yeah, they just like to see, they like any of it.
Just to see you shine and be
They're
you.
super supportive. That was something that me and my dad did, was like we'd investigate the house and all of this stuff. And we started going on like ghost hunts together, like public ghost hunts. And then, I was like, gosh, I really want to do more with this. And so after many, many years of trial and error and then just public ghost hunts and things like that, then I started working on the documentary here. And then I started playing around with the idea of actually becoming a ghost hunter because I didn't even realize that was something that I could do.
Exactly. It's just for TV.
Yeah, exactly. Anyways, got into that. But my mediumship journey at the time, like growing up, I didn't know that I was a medium. I didn't know that I was psychic.
Well, and your family was all, so it's just normal.
It was just normal. Okay. So I didn't know. I never sat down with my parents and was like, I'm seeing spirits. What do I do? It was just kind of something that I kept myself. And it wasn't until I didn't know that I was a psychic medium until I was 25, like 26.
You are before that.
Like I had no idea. For funsies, I just was like, you know what? I just feel like I just want to go to class. I want to see people like do some stuff. Like that's so fun. And then I go to this class and they make us get into groups. And I was like, it's one of those classes. Like I actually have to participate. Like I'm not going to participate. Like I can't do this work. What am I even talking about? So they put me in a group and they're like, give me a reading. Oh. And I'm like, what do you mean a reading? Like I saw this stuff on TV, right? Like Chip Coffee was like one of my faves,
yes.
Right? Yes. And I was like, I want to be Chip Coffee, But again, I don't know why. I never put two and two together. I've been seeing spirits. I can hear them. I didn't know, though, that I could talk with them, if that makes any sense. Yeah. I didn't know, I knew I could talk to them with equipment. I knew that I could see them. I didn't know that I could sit here and actually have a conversation back to me personally. Yes. Yeah. I saw it on TV, but I didn't know that I personally could do that, if that makes any sense. It does. So I go to this class and, say you're the girl over there, right? That Christy, I'm supposed to be reading you. And it's the teacher. She's in my group and she's like, tell me what you're seeing. And I was like, what I'm seeing? I don't know. And so I started throwing stuff out and she was like, that's accurate. So-and-so is this, and this is their name. And and I was just spitballing. I was just throwing out stuff. Yeah. And I found out after 3 hours in that class, oh shit, I can do this. Hold on, wait, I could talk to them and they could talk back to me. It was this whole weird realization thing that after so many years, I just had no idea.
So it just started happening.
It just started happening.
Clicked.
It just clicked. It was just the weirdest thing. And so after that, I was like, called my parents after the class and I was like, I think I'm a medium. And they're like,
okay, honey.
Okay, great. That's great, sweetie. We're happy for you. And I'm like, no, I really think I can. I could talk to spirits. Like they're there. And so I kept going back to this class. And then that moved into my actual real classes, which I started taking with April Nicole and Cindy Keza, because I wanted to deep dive, right? And I was like, let's go. That blended in with my paranormal journey at the same time. So I was kind of learning how to be a real paranormal investigator and talk to spirits at the same time, which was, it took up a lot of my time, but I'm grateful for it. But yeah, so then I started studying under Cindy in April, and it was just the coolest thing. It's something that I didn't even realize that I personally could do. And that's where I started getting confirmation with the trance episodes that I brought up earlier, because I did trance mediumship under Tony Stockwell for a year. It was to a T the same exact experience I was having when I was younger. So I now recognize that for me personally, those were trance episodes that I was going through when I was younger.
So what does learning under somebody look like?
It's different. Every teacher's different. And I was really blessed to work under such amazing teachers who genuinely cared about me as a person and took the time to get to know me and work with me. It was basically like, okay, this is where you're at. How can we elevate this? How can we make your gift stronger? And one of the ways that they did that was, we're going to take away one of your gifts, your top gift, like your strongest thing. Say sight, your strongest. We're going to take that away completely. You can't use it at all. Now you got to hear for it. So it was a lot of like strengthening exercises, practicing. The trance, the year-long trance that I did was crazy, because it was a lot of.
And it's like work you have to do on your own.
Yes.
Like, and if you come and they're like, you didn't practice this week.
And then because you see other people in the class kind of developing, and you're just kind of like, I didn't put, you have to put in the work, right?
Yeah.
I mean, these classes, they're not cheap. They're not cheap. So you need to be putting in the work. I did a deep dive for like 2 years. It was just, all I did was class. And I was like, I want to be really good at this, just for myself. It wasn't even to do anything with it, just for me. It opened up this whole world for me, just having the guidance on how to actually talk to spirit, the morals and ethics behind it, how to read for people in a way that's not going to set them back in their trauma or their healing, right? And so it's just a lot of really good things to learn that I would have never known if I didn't.
That's fascinating.
Over time, the paranormal journey was evolving as well.
Being a medium and a ghost hunter, those worlds don't always go hand in hand. They're kind of separated.
No.
Just like being a witch and mediumship, even though they go hand in hand. Just like being a witch and ghost hunting go hand in hand, but nobody wants to talk about it.
Yes.
What do you think that the troubles of being a medium and a ghost hunter?
So it's one, okay. And I just want to preface this. Even if you don't have training, it doesn't mean that you can't be a good medium. That's not what I'm saying. But for me personally, I needed that training, because
there's always something you can learn from anybody. So yes,
yeah, exactly.
I want to learn from Mandy. We want Mandy to teach us.
I appreciate that. Yeah. And that's the hard part, is ghost hunting, being a paranormal investigator and a medium. That was something that I always wanted to do, because there were so many shows growing up. It's like you have your investigators and you have your medium, but you don't have somebody who does both.
Exactly.
Right? Until recently, that's become a new thing now that, people are trying to do. And I was like, well, I don't want to just be a medium, and I don't want to just be a paranormal investigator. I want to do both. I want to find a way to do both. And that was one thing that I really admired about Cindy Keza, is because I consider her an investigator. And I was like, well, I want to learn from her, because she's going to teach me how to balance both.
And that's the girl that's on Dead Files?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Dead Files and the Holzer Files. I would say she's obviously more medium than investigator, but she does both. Biggest thing is, when you're a medium and you go into location, you tune in, right? You tune in. It's just you. You're working through things. You're picking up on stuff. When you start adding in equipment, it's a whole different ballgame. You've got a camera to hold. You've got lighting to worry about. You got to make sure that you're getting your partner in the shot. You've got a piece of equipment in your hand. All of a sudden, now you're focused on the equipment, and that connection with spirit. Cut.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
So then you're like, okay, well, now I'm not focused on what they're talking to me about or what they're showing me. I'm too busy filming and trying to do this stuff. So now I'm just the investigator. And that was hard. So I wanted to learn, well, how do I hold the camera, do all the things I need to do as an investigator, but also maintain the channel? And that was something that was really important, that through my training with Cindy, was learning how to maintain the channel, make sure that door is open at all times so I can still receive, even though I have equipment in my hand and I'm focused on trying to make sure Jade's in the shot.
What about running with, you're getting a psychic message and you feel so strongly about it, but the gear is not validating it? What do you do?
Yeah. So that's another thing too, right? That was the second thing that I wanted to learn, was I wanted to make sure that what I was saying was being validated in some capacity.
Yes.
Because nobody's going to fucking believe you otherwise. Unless they trust you, or unless they're really into mediums, most people are going to be like, well, she's just saying that just to say that, And so and that's something that, we deal with in this community.
We all struggle with that balance.
Yeah. So I really wanted to make sure that what I was saying was being backed up. And that's something that I'm very proud of, because I feel like on Ghost Club for a lot of the things that I do say, there will be a hit on the REM pod. There will be something that comes through on Spirit Box or Spirit Talker or something that will validate what I'm saying. And that's kind of the relationship that I've created with Spirit in my training was like, hey, if I'm going to do this, I need you guys to back me up on what I'm saying. And if it's true, back me up. If you can validate me, yes. And if not, then let me know that too.
And I feel that way, especially at the haunt, because when I started ghost hunting, it was like, I don't know. All I know is I saw shit when I was a kid, and I'm out to see if I saw real stuff or if I was imagining it.
Yeah.
Realizing like, I'm going to throw something out there and you have this gear and it's going to validate it or it's not. And that practice even teaches you how to trust your instincts and what instincts are actually coming to you because they're from spirit or energy that you're reading, or it's coming from your ego. And then understanding how those feel differently, having the gear helps to validate and learn.
Exactly. And because then you start to encounter, this is a whole different ball game. But when you know, like, because you've trained, like, you know that what you're getting is true and valid. And then now a spirit's coming in and saying, no, that's not right. You're wrong. And then you're like, no, I know I'm right.
So what do you do?
Yeah. So then it's like, okay, well, why are you telling me that I'm wrong? Are you trying to stop something from coming out? Then so it's, whereas like baby Mandy would have been like, oh my God, I'm wrong. And I've just embarrassed myself in front of everybody. And I wasn't right. And now I don't trust myself. And it's like, no, you do this long enough, you get to a point you're like, no, I know that. Yeah. I know. So like the fact that you're saying no, to me, there's another situation going on.
Epoch box. It loves going no, and you're like, yes. And it goes no, and you're like, yes, no.
And then we argue.
Yeah. Which one?
It depends. And that's where you tap into for me, it's tapping into my feeling, right? So then I'm like, okay, are you saying no because I'm misinterpreting what I'm getting?
Which happens
all the time. I mean, we're not always right. You got to understand, like, mediumship is tricky. It's not like you're right here and I'm telling you exactly what happened. It's Pictionary, charades, and telephone all at the same time. So you can easily misinterpret something.
And that's why you got to meet in the middle.
Exactly.
Like, we're having conversation together. So let's collab what that could mean, right?
Exactly. So it's a learning process. And that, of course, comes with time and practice. And
we should hit up mirrors. What do you say, Christy?
Yeah, yeah.
You do weird shit with mirrors.
Yeah, I never even heard about this until
you've gotten rid of attachment at the haunt. My attachment.
But that's the first time I'd ever seen that. So the mirror, using the mirrors.
Yeah, the mirror thing is not something I know. People work with mirrors. At least I think they do. Right, scrying mirrors and stuff like that.
Yeah, scrying.
But, okay, so the mirror thing is the mirror thing is like relatively new. I would say I started doing that 2.5 years ago, almost 3 now. And I swear to God, when I say one day I woke up and they said, you're doing this now.
Who said?
My spirit team.
What do they look like? Like, tell me more.
So my team is made up of quite a few interesting people. But my main one that I work with is Angel/Alien, interchangeable, Annalisa. Literally, I woke up one day and she said, you're going to start doing this now. Congratulations. And I was like, what? What is it? And she's like, you're going to work with mirrors. And I said, cool. How? She said, you'll figure it out.
Like, so what did you do?
Well, that was the thing. So I was like, I have no idea what she's talking about.
Means. Okay.
I have no idea what this means. And then I swear to God, all of a sudden, mirrors just look different. It was the weirdest thing. I've never experienced anything like it. Mirrors that just are mirrors, they started looking different. And by looking different, I mean, like, it's not just glass. It's like they have like almost like a waveform energy to it now. And I was like, oh, that's weird.
Do you feel that way now? Like, that's how you see him still?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I was like, oh, okay. Well, what do I do with this? And they were like, you'll see. I'm like, okay, cool. No information. Got it. We'll figure it out. Got it. Okay. So, and that's usual. My team they're very much like, we need you to figure this out yourself.
Yeah.
Like, we're gonna help you get there, but you gotta do it. You know, they're tough. And so so then the mirror thing started. I remember the first time I was going to work with the mirrors in a location. Oh, I just saw something go by here. That was cool. Just like kind of.
Oh, I call them wispies.
Yeah, it was like a wispy, like
energy.
Yeah, a little
sprig.
energy, just something just went through. But yeah, so literally I was at a location and it was like, okay,
I'm going to try this.
okay. Yeah, it was like, mirror.
Even my hands are cold. For me, that's cold for me.
You're warmer than my hands.
Oh, yeah.
I'm dead.
You're dead inside.
I am.
But I also, this is kind of, it's not just mirrors. I realize that I can do this with
For reflection
Like
surfaces?
water?
not even reflect, it's just walls. I can literally open up any, it's the weirdest thing. It's mirrors and walls.
Okay.
I can utilize a wall if there's not a mirror available.
Oh,
That
wow.
works. It's a whole thing. I cannot say the locations that I've done this in because I would not be allowed back.
And that's just the reality we live in.
I remember they were like, all right, we're going to do this. And I was like, well, what are we doing? So over time, I realized that this whole mirror thing, it's not to like, listen, please do not fuck about with mirrors. Okay. Or, you know, like, please make sure you have the proper training to do any sort of work like this. But
The calling from the spirits.
yeah. And it was like, okay, well, first off, I was like, before I do anything, what is the point of this? Why am I working with mirrors now? Like, what am I supposed to do with that? And it was after a lot of deduction. It was basically going to be me learning how to open up and push things through and let things in.
Interesting.
And I could learn how to
like an
control.
airport.
Yes, pretty much. A portal, so to say.
A portal.
Airport to portal.
Depends who you're talking to.
Air portal.
Air portal. So it was going to be one of those things where I could put things into it. I can take things out.
It's almost like your job, like for the spiritual world, was to bring balance.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you know what? This place is a little off balance. We're going to need you to pull something in. Or, hey.
Exactly. I could use it as a way to let spirits out. I could use it as a way to let something in, which I typically don't do that. I could use it as a way, the big one being to trap things, which I didn't know at the time that was going to be a thing that I would be doing. Like exorcisms / removing attachments, things like that.
Which she's done for me.
Yeah.
Have you done it before or was...
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So this is the thing. It happens to people. It's not that weird.
People and locations. I've done it on both. So, because, buildings can have attachments.
Well, what do you think about All Saints? What do you think's going on there?
Oh, nothing's leaving there.
Nothing's leaving there.
No.
Not in a mirror, nothing. I don't even think you have a mirror, like a bigger mirror. You have like...
We have big mirrors in D. We have great big mirrors in there. They used to be in the chapel. We had them all around
But they're
the walls.
not up.
Not anymore, but they're stacked up in D.
She took them down. Didn't feel right. Because something weird's going on there.
We have mirrors in the portal room.
Yeah, the little...
We have one tall, thin one.
Oh,
and then
that's
we have
right.
the
There
one on
are
the wall.
mirrors in there.
Yeah.
It just gets overlooked because there's a giant portal on the floor.
Yeah.
It's like, forget that mirror.
Exactly.
That's the entrance, the floor,
Yeah.
which is a bad sign. Like...
Yeah.
And that's the only room that has them. That's what's funny. Even our bathroom doesn't have mirrors.
Yeah. Oh, look at that.
So you started doing it. You were taught.
Yeah. So then...
Not by a person. Like, you've never learned from...
No, I never
living.
learned by anybody for
It
this.
just wouldn't be right.
And I know a couple people have been like, oh, can you teach this? And I'm like, no. I'm not teaching this because at least not at this point. Just because it's one of those things that I don't think, I'm not hoarding it to myself. I just don't think people should be
doing it.
doing it.
And if someone was
Truthfully.
meant to,
If
their
they were,
team-
Spirit would teach them.
So interesting. When I was 23, I had a night that I was laying down and I woke up and a little animal came into my room. I don't know. It was like outlined. It was like a raccoon ferret hybrid spirit. I think because I view things very animalistic, maybe I view spirits a little more like an animal. And they did teach me like something about reading people's energy. And I first did it to myself and kind of like realigned myself. And I had no idea how any of this stuff worked, but it just taught me. And then I tested it out on people the next day, and I was able to pick up on their life. And, you know, and I can't tell you why. It's just something I learned to do. And it was just like the spirit showed me, and now I know.
Exactly. I think I had one lady yell at me on YouTube one time for saying this, but like sometimes it's not that deep. It really isn't. Sometimes spirit's not always that deep, you guys. It really doesn't need to have like this grandiose meaning and all this stuff. No, it could simply be that like this is just something that you're supposed to do, right?
Yeah.
And they gave you the tools to figure it out.
And so some things can't be taught
Whether you know why or
by
not.
humans.
Exactly.
You can learn from a human, but also don't discount learning something from your higher knowing or your spirit team.
Exactly. Because if not, I wouldn't be doing what I do with mirrors now.
So what's the craziest experience, if you can even say it, because
Well, so
with a mirror?
with mirrors, I typically don't do it unless it's one of those. Okay, how do I explain this? It's a calling. That's the best way to explain it. It's like a calling. It's like I get a notification in my body that says, "Hey, you got a mirror in here. You need to find it. You got to do something about it."
Interesting.
So then I got to find the mirror. And sometimes it's not as easy. I have to actually I have to sit with the mirror for a little bit, I have to look at it and stuff and tap into it. And then when I do find the mirror, depending on where we're at in the night, it's like, okay, is this going to be, am I supposed to just work on the energy on this mirror just to like make it feel a little bit better in here? Am I supposed to open this for later on in the night? Spirit tells me.
You figure it out as you go.
Figure it out as I go. The craziest thing that I've learned though with mirrors which was weird because I remember the first time I went up to a mirror to work on it, which I was trying to get at the story earlier. I came up to a mirror and I was like, well, now what? What do I do with it? You know, put my fucking hands on it? Like, what do I do with this mirror? And then all of a sudden it was like, well, you're going to start at the bottom and you're going to do X, Y. And it was literally, I can't explain it, but it was like it was like as if spirit just started working through me and was like showing me the motion on what I needed to draw or do on the mirror to open it.
It's different every time.
It is different every single time. And because I remember I did it the first time.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the next time I went to go work with a mirror, I went to go do the same thing. And they're like, nope. Every single time is different. And it's the weirdest thing. I remember I did a mirror at Mackey Mansion and it was a riddle. It was a riddle. I had to literally speak a riddle to myself. You'll hear me mumbling on camera, a riddle to myself to open the mirror. It's the weirdest thing. And I don't understand it. And that's okay. I don't mind not knowing. I'm just doing what they're telling me to do.
And seeing what happens.
I've had to actually, some mirrors involve my own body, like at Glen Tavern, kissing the mirror. I remember at the Garnet House, I had to literally like lick my thumb and use my saliva.
It's almost like a price that you're paying.
Exactly. Because obviously I need to, depending on how we're using it, I'm incorporating my body and my energy into that.
It's an exchange.
It's an exchange, right? Which is not always ideal, but it is what it is. And that's just like what I've signed up for in this life. And I'm totally fine with that.
Me too. Sign me up. Let's make some deals, baby.
You know, and it's not always that. Sometimes, you know, it's not always like I need to open it for things to happen. Sometimes it's just that, hey, there's some funky energy that's built up on this mirror. I just need to clear it.
What do you feel about this mirror? What do you see?
This mirror's okay. Those mirrors, I don't like those ones. Those aren't.
But we feel those are fake.
Yeah, those are fake. But like,
That one looks like it came from a mobile home.
I don't like the energy too. I like that mirror, but like it's fake.
It's fake.
Yeah.
It's fake. But
This one feels like it's part of a set.
yeah, like there's no pattern or vibration coming off of either of those, right? But this one's got just a little film. Can't see it. I can see it. But there's like a little baby film going across this one, which means that you can work with this one. When they're like flat like that, when there's nothing to it energetically, ideally I don't want to work with those. I can, but it's like a dud. They're like dud mirrors. Dud mirrors is what I'm going to say.
Like putting a dead battery in your camera.
I can make them not dud.
But it's going to take more work.
It's going to take more work. And then it's like, why would I do that when there's a perfectly good one here? So things like that. And it's something that's just kind of developed over time. I've worked with certain walls. Like if there's no mirror available, I can work with a wall. Closed doors can work too. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing that I've started doing.
We got a spirit talker on now, so if you want to join in on the conversation, sorry, we were very deep into Mandy's story. Very fascinating, and thank you for sharing that with us.
Mary!
Oh, shut up.
Queen Mary.
Did that I don't even know what's going on anymore.
I don't know if you've noticed, but I keep looking over here because I'm like, I feel like it's going off, and I keep looking over.
You did tell me something interesting about Christy, that you're not supposed to read for her, that you feel that way.
Yeah. Yeah, when we were at the Glen Tavern, I wanted to tap into you, but no.
Is that normal for you to run into people like that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it coming from me, or is it something else telling you don't go to her?
That's a good question. I didn't get that far with that.
She was just like, okay.
I get very uncomfortable when it becomes about me. So.
Yeah, I was wondering if that's what it was.
It could have been. Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I didn't tap in far enough to like even see where that was coming from. It was just nah.
But how would you feel like if somebody tapped in? Like, what would that do? Like, why would that make you so uncomfortable?
Like when you guys were doing that with the Ouija board, and I was getting all weird out.
Yeah. And then she had this past life spirit that came through the Estes, and she was like, I might not ever want to do the Estes again. She's done.
Yeah, I just don't like to do that.
So the one thing that I've learned in my experience with this is that if that happens, wherever it's coming from, it's, I just respect that boundary, but there could be a couple reasons. It could be because you don't want people tapping into your energy and that you've set that boundary up so much. Can someone else tap into you? Sure. I was just told specifically I couldn't. Now, does that mean I can do it? But usually when I'm hearing that, it's either because you don't want that happening or because your team doesn't want that happening for whatever reason. And sometimes that could be like, they need you to figure this out yourself. I see that a lot. I see that so much. Is like, it can't come from me. It's got to come from you. I can tell you things all day, but until you get there in your mind, it's not going to matter.
I'm only asking because it's like with all of the people that come and go through the haunt, no one's ever said anything to me. It's always Richard and the little girl. So nobody's ever said, oh, you have an attachment or anything like that. I'm always... Yeah. And I'm okay with that. I'm just saying, I don't know.
She's okay with that.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. It's just I've noticed, like Sean's always coming in and going right for Richard. Oh, you've got this happening. You've got that happening. So but never.
It's not just me, but I don't know. I would be curious to know what Sean's thoughts were, because for me specifically, it was very much like the minute that I even tried, it was like, no.
That's interesting.
And again, that could just genuinely be because they need you to figure it out yourself. Or because you need to get there to, like, you have to want that. I don't know.
I don't know either.
I've seen a lot of growth with Christy this journey, this year of knowing you, of accepting things. And before you didn't even like to be on camera. And look, now we're having a podcast. Mm-hmm. We're doing lives now. It's like,
many of us.
Well, Mandy was there when in the beginning when I was like, yeah, you guys can come in and look for ghosts, and that's fun. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's like, you guys are fun. You're having fun, and that's good. I'm going to go eat some Fritos in the control room while you guys are having fun. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. It's just because when you were saying that and you were reading so much, and it's like nobody ever.
Well, maybe you'll let me try. I've never tried to like read somebody just like sitting there. Like, let me.
I mean, we can read you.
I think it'd be interesting. Oh, yeah, I mean, you are.
I was just going to say, but I don't want to be disrespectful to either the boundaries that you've internally set.
If we did, then I would want to, I always go back to that Ghost Hunters. You guys remember that Ghost Hunters where he had the median, the thermal, and he set the thermal camera up, and he had that reading? And I asked Britt about it, Britt Griffin. We had a conversation once, and I asked him, why did they never talk about that? Because to me, that's probably the closest thing to convincing somebody like me that there is definitely something going on, because there was literally a heat signature coming out of him, and then Jason's was coming up to meet it, and then they met, and then the guy just started talking, oh, you had a farm and blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. The guy was like picking it, so sort of like, okay, I'm searching, bam, I got it. And it was literally physical proof of it. And I asked Britt about it, and I said, why didn't they ever pursue that? And he said, because Jason was so uncomfortable with it. It made him nervous, and he didn't want to go. And I almost think maybe that's the same kind of thing that I've got, where it's like, I don't know.
That's what I think it is.
Vulnerability, right? It's vulnerability.
Very much, yeah.
It unravels everything, especially with the ghost hunters. You think they're all like, we need something science to prove it, which that would have. But a lot of things with mediumship, you got to just go on faith. You know, kind of, right?
Yeah.
But now we know there may be a way to test it.
Yeah.
There may be a way with that heat.
That's something that you've talked about with me before too, was doing something, I think it was at the haunt, of like putting thermal up.
Yes,
and like,
we need to have you back at the haunts for some. We'll call you up.
give me a call.
I have a thermal. Just saying.
We need to have a experimental day at All Saints.
I think it would be really cool. I would be curious to see what happens. We used to do that in trance and the training classes and stuff, where we would have somebody go, we would put a red light on them and have someone go under trance and to see what happens visually. You know, does their face change? Are you seeing any anomalies on the outside? Yeah, because it's cool, because when you start sitting in the power and the energy, it's not just internal, it's external.
You're just such a witch, you know. Even though you don't identify,
No, I know.
but
It's in
you
there.
are.
It's in
You
there.
are. Just like things you say, it's just like such a witch. It's just like Christy, you know.
I think you got a letter wrong there, but you're close.
A bitch.
That's me anyway.
It's a witch bitch.
You're a witch bitch.
Well, we are going to go eat some burgers.
Yes, we are.
And then we're going to start our lockdown in room B340.
Ooh, spooky.
So we're going to charge up, recharge, warm Christy up.
Yes.
I'm going to be stuck in this room with these two mediums.
I'm just going to add it in.
for longer.
Shut up.
Okay.
Oh,
I guess I'll just stay in here by myself. I just want to add, unless you are like in tune and aware of mirrors, this will not affect 99% of the people
Interesting. Yeah.
in the world. Okay. I know. I remember the first time I started doing mirror work on YouTube and people were like, I feel weird about the mirrors in my house and all this stuff. And like, please don't like, what's a good analogy for it? I don't have a good analogy, but like, if you're not tapped into it, it's not gonna affect you. Well, I mean, majority of you, I would say 99% of you, it's not going to affect you or have any sort of bearing on your life or your home or anything like that. I think that the mirror thing is only if you're aware of it and tapped into it.
Like going to a haunted location, there's that lady in the corner biting her nails over here. But if you can't see them, it's not going to bother you.
Exactly. If you're like my mother, she's not tapped into the energy. She don't give a fuck. She wants something to do with it. She's not going to have that experience.
That's
so
my husband. He's all like, do whatever you
I
want.
think I'm the only one that does that, where sometimes you just walk into a room and there's like a mirror that you're just sure is a two-way mirror, and you feel like you're being watched from that mirror, even if you're not in cheap motels, of
But
course.
see, that's why I feel like this whole like two-way mirror thing could be representative of spirit on the other side of that mirror watching you, you know, so you could be tapping into it, you know what I'm saying?
This is you, Christy.
I think a lot of people have done that, where you've walked into a room and it's like, I'm looking at that mirror and I feel like someone's looking back.
I genuinely don't think that's like a normal thing. Yeah.
Classic Christy. You take something spiritual and you make it, you reason it.
Okay, in the comments below. Oh!
What did it say?
Mirror.
Oh my God.
You can't make this up. Only on Ghostcraft Divination, baby.
Oh my God. Okay.
So I was going to say, comment below if you've ever walked into a building and been like, that's definitely a two-way mirror.
Yeah.
Like you're
That doesn't happen. That doesn't happen for most people. I mean, maybe if you're like somewhere where that could potentially be a thing, but I feel like that could be like your way of trying to rationalize
This feeling that you
the feeling.
Because other times I don't, I can walk into like a cheap motel. We've stayed at cheap motels. The Clown Motel. I never felt like that was a two-way mirror in there. And that
No.
would definitely be...
That's could have been.
It would be just because it had that creepy, weird vibe. You know what I mean? So it's not like a vibe thing. And I had it at that hotel, and I didn't know that it was a really super haunted hotel. There's a hotel, I can't remember, there's a really beautiful hotel. It's supposed to be like the last place that the Black Dahlia stayed at.
Oh, yeah.
Or, you know what I'm talking about? Really beautiful marble, gorgeous hotel. We stayed there because we were going to Monster Palooza.
Yeah, Roosevelt.
It might be the Roosevelt. It was really beautiful, just
Yeah.
gorgeous. And we didn't realize it was supposed to be haunted. We just were going there because it was close to Monsterpalooza, so we stayed. And beautiful room. We had a gorgeous room. But the first thing I did with that mirror, I was like, that's a two-way mirror. Someone's on the other side watching us. But I was fixated with that mirror when we got there. And I was so sure I was doing that thing, where you test it, just like I was at the Mexican restaurant. I feel like people do that, though.
No, that's what I do.
Really. I feel like, put that in the comments because I feel like other people do that too.
You see, and she's still rationalizing it. She's saying, no, this is not a psychic sense. Everybody does this.
I kind of feel like they do.
I can tell you most people are even unaware of the mirror situation at all.
Mandy knows mirrors. I think she knows.
No, I mean, and it's okay to question your safety. Please question your safety if you're feeling uncomfortable. Like if you've
Because it is a thing.
watched and things like that. But the mirror, this is just too specific.
And it's so on cue with what we were talking about today. Did you hear that?
I feel like that mirror wants to play.
I heard a tap.
I feel like, did that tap come from the mirror?
It did. It came from over here.
I've been watching this one this whole time because I was like,
my parents.
cool.
There's a bunch of kids on the wall around that photo.
Yeah, I definitely heard a tap.
Oh, I got chills again. He says, this is why it said to stay. It's like, all right, let's go.
No, we got to reset the energy. Please do not be fearful of mirrors.
No.
This is just something that I see with them.
Yeah. And the same with, I feel, with attachments. Like, yeah, people can have attachments, but maybe it won't even affect them because, maybe they're a little more tired or something like that, or they don't know.
Yeah.
Same with hauntings in a house. Not everyone could see them, that kind of thing. But when you are open to the world of that.
So do you think anybody could be? Do you think that anybody could be open? Like anybody in the world could really be open to it if they wanted to? Or do you think it's something that
Yeah,
you're
what's your thoughts on that? Some people just aren't that deep.
Some people are just, it's not that deep. Okay. I think that
I know that's a big question.
everybody has the ability to tap into energy. Everybody has the ability to tap into their senses. Everybody has the ability to tap into other people. Whether they develop it or not, whether they want to or not, I believe that everybody can do that. Having a direct relation with spirit, not everybody can do that. And that's just my personal take on it. Even if you work on it, I think that there are some situations where you could potentially develop it over time. But even then, I'm still like, no, you've always had that. You just didn't develop it.
But some things you learn can pick up more easily, like artists, some people just have that eye where it's like you were born to do this. And so I think there's that too of some people got to work a little harder to unlock it.
Exactly.
But I also don't think everyone could do it because there's also, everyone could, but I feel like there is a personality trait that you have to do it as well.
And I think you would kind of know.
All right, you guys, we'll see you at the next summoning, the next seance in your ear.
Peace out, guys. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Mandy. And you're welcome anytime.
Thank you guys. I'm happy to be here and to share things.
We love Mandy.
We do. And we know you guys love her too.
I love you all.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.